I'm obsessed with this question. I've never talked about it before. What do I think would happen if little baby Rolaskatox was born, but they were unable to save Bella in the delivery and she unalived? Now, I have thought so much about this. I have so many scenarios. I think what first comes to mind is that there's going to be a number of people in the situation whose knee-jerk instinct is going to be to unalive Reynolds Pamphlet. And I think if it goes down the way it does in the book, Jacob's going to be number one in line, right? Because in the book, he thinks Bella's dead. He goes downstairs. He's preparing to unalive Rikki Tikki Tavi. But we know that when he sees her, because Rosalie's going to be out with her, he will imprint. So you'd think Rosalie would be recidivism's biggest defender, but it's actually going to end up being Jacob in this scenario, although Rosalie will defend the baby. I do think Edward's initial reaction is going to be try to get rid of this baby. It's unalived Bella. He can now see it as the monster he thought it was. It looks like Bella, but Jacob's going to stand in the way of that. And Jacob also promises Edward in the scene where they talk about like Jacob giving Bella puppies, that horrific scene where they basically talk about wife swapping. Jacob promises Edward that if Bella doesn't make it through, he will unalive him without thinking twice. And Edward's like, I'll be begging you to. So Edward may just come to Jacob and say, get rid of me right now, I'm done. And I think Jacob would only do it or try to do it if Edward's presenting a significant threat to regurgitation. I think Rosalie and Esme would be able to keep Edward in line long enough for Jacob to abscond, probably, with the baby. And I think as long as Edward never had to see the baby again, he'd be fine with Jacob raising Rubicon over on the res. He'd read Jacob's mind. He'd be like, you know what? It's not a predator situation. Right now, he just wants to be a brother and a father. So I'll let him raise her and then they can be together and she can be his child bride. I am so distressed by this. This never come to my mind before, but I think that might be what would happen. If she's with Jacob, that's the safest place for her to be because he is programmed to give up his life for her. And I think Rosalie and Emmett would then start spending a lot of time on the res as well because Rosalie's obsessed with the baby and Emmett wants to dude bro out. And I think then Edward would potentially go to the Volturi asking to unalive and they'd be like, no, you're too special. And he would maybe join the Volturi for a little while. It'd be like his version of the 10 years that he did vigilante justice. He'd be like, let me try my hand at this. I'm so angry. I have nothing to live for. I'll be part of the Volturi. And Alice is so obsessed with Edward, that maybe her and Jasper would go too. And then Carlisle and Esme could empty nest it up for a while.